Hi, I'm Chris Martin, President and CEO of United Way of San Antonio and Bexar County. Solving our community's most critical issues is something that we are extremely passionate about and invested in. Over the past 6 months, we've brought together experts, community leaders to examine and identify the challenges people in our community face. We are using the latest data and examining emerging trends as we research the best possible strategies to create lasting impact. You're about to hear from some of the strongest voices in our city who will speak to the challenges that people deal with every day in San Antonio and Bexar County.
Third grade reading is a key predictor of reading capabilities in 5th grade and in 8th grade. 8th grade reading then becomes a key predictor for student success in 9th grade and in high school graduation and in college enrollment. Consistently over the last 10 years, we've seen that in 3rd and 5th grade, Bexar County has tended to perform probably about 5% lower than the state average. So some of the best practices to increase literacy would be to have more books at the home. Kids are naturally curious, and if we've got more books there, they're going to start taking them and looking at them, even starting to look at the pictures, starting at a very young age. So similar to our reading numbers, our Bexar County numbers for our math, specifically for our students of color lagging behind Texas, sometimes as high as 10%.
Both those two, reading and math, once you get behind, it's virtually impossible to get caught up on that.
And one of the biggest things too, when we're talking about post-secondary enrollment, is enrollment in college algebra at the 8th grade level. How do you get there? By doing well in 3rd grade math, 5th grade math, 7th grade math.
While I do know and understand that it is about high quality instruction in the classroom and high quality materials and resources and providing those academic supports, there is no way that I can do my job, and there's no way the students in my classroom will feel stable and supported and successful unless their other needs are being met. And so when we talk about how we support students of color, when we talk about how we support students living in poverty, we absolutely have to look at the educational debt and realize it's going to require more.
So the concept of truancy is basically kids hitting certain benchmarks under the education code where they've had so many unexcused absences. Chronic absenteeism is just, it's kids that are just missing so much. There's kind of two different levels. There's the kid on an absenteeism issue that's spending too much time with his girlfriend in high school and not going to class, and those are simple ones to fix. There are other situations where there are impediments. So when kids miss school, they don't have a school attendance problem. They have a problem that's causing them to miss school. It can be problems in the household, academic low performance where they get behind.
It may be anxiety around mass shootings that have happened. It may be the fact that students just don't have anywhere to go after school, and so because nobody can pick them up, they have to stay home. Maybe they're taking care of family members.
You can have a kid that's the primary breadwinner for the family that has to work and cannot go to school because they're helping to support the family.
Chronic absenteeism actually builds on itself because anxiety builds as you miss more time in school. You feel like you've missed out. You feel like you're behind. You feel like you go back in and you're not going to be able to perform at the level that you need to. And so that actually causes students to miss even more. And so I think the impact of chronic absenteeism on our students is absolutely immediate in terms of their short-term development, but obviously we know it limits the opportunities that they'll have on the back end if they're not on track and if they're not finishing and graduating prepared.
The end result, which will lead to the other problem that we'll talk about, is dropouts. Schools do not have a dropout problem. The city and the county has a dropout problem because if the kids aren't in school or working, they're on the streets. You're talking about an aggregate student population of over 300,000 students. If you're saying that there's a dropout rate of 10%, which I suspect is probably higher now since COVID, you do the math on that, that's 30,000 kids that are neither working and did not finish school. That's the size of a city. If they disengage from the system and they didn't get those basic fundamental skills, then you want to find alternative education plans for them.
They want to work. They want to be in school. They want to be enrolled. There's just so many barriers that have befallen them, and that's where they're trying to figure out what's going to be the best way and what's going to work for them. How do we connect them to the work? How do we reach out to them and say, let us know what you need and how we can work together on this?
The key is you have to find these kids, but you have to go to them to find them, and then find what the impediments were, what are alternative pathways to get them educated or work training and get them on the right path.
The number one thing that students ask for when it comes to their mental health is, can I have somebody talk to me when I need them?
The pandemic pulled the curtain back and we saw the inequities. I guess in a positive way, it has also shown the importance of addressing issues of mental health.
Unfortunately, there is a stigma around mental health. There's a lack of investment around mental health in schools. And as a teacher who's been in the classroom for over a decade, not once have I had an evaluator come into my classroom and ask me how I've met the mental health needs of my students or how I've helped build a positive, culturally sustaining and responsive environment.
You do that by beefing up the school counseling system, or getting mental health professionals in the school, or even contracting with nonprofits.
National Counselors Association says 250 to 1 ratio for students to counselors is what it should be. And in Texas, it's 500 to 1.
Our young people cannot wait for another pandemic to come for us to shift how we work together. We have to change how we work as a community, and our cross-sector partnerships have to shift starting now. Relationships are key and foundational to student success. Relationships are the work. And we've seen that when young people have relationships with folks, whether they are with teachers, with counselors, or with even out-of-school time providers, we've seen that there is an impact on how students perform in school.
On behalf of United Way, our impact partners, and countless volunteers, thank you for your support.